Today we are gonna make the viral Dubai pistachio chocolate bars. So for this, you are going to need some pistachio cream. We are actually using pistachio paste. It's quite loose. We made it ourselves in the food processor. And if you want to learn how to make this pistachio paste, check out our other video on how to make pistachio paste. So you'll need some pistachio paste. And then I've got some shredded filo dough here. This is a dried and shredded filo dough. This is the brand that we are using. You can get this online. We're also going to be using coating compound. So these are chocolate melting wafers by Ghirardelli. These are dark chocolate. This is a non-tempering chocolate. You can also do this recipe with tempered chocolate. That's a whole nother video though. And then I've also got a piping bag here. I just find that piping the chocolate into the molds is much easier than trying to brush it on. So, and then we've got our shredded phyllo dough as mentioned. And then I've also got a couple different molds here. Let me get this out of my way. You will also need some butter. So we're gonna add a little bit of butter. We're gonna toast this up in the pan. And then once it's toasted, we'll mix our pistachio with it, pistachio paste. These are my molds. So I've got two different molds here. These are 3-part molds, which I think are just wonderful when you're making any type of candy bar. So they've got the top insert here, and then they have these little inserts. So how this works is you take your mold, you pipe some of your melted chocolate in here, and once you pipe it in, then you'll put this insert down into the mold, and then you'll put this one on top and kind of push it down. And what that does is it pushes the chocolate up to the side, so you don't have to sit there and futz around with painting. You also get an even thickness all the way around, and then you just simply take this and pop it into the refrigerator until it sets up. Then you would take off the top piece, these little insert pieces, and then you'll come back through and do your filling. Put another layer of chocolate over the top, put it in the refrigerator, and you are done. So these are really fabulous for making things like chocolate bars. So it's got this fun little design on the bottom. I have some smaller ones here that you can use lollipop sticks with for that melt in your mouth, not in your hands type of bar. But these ones work the same way. So you've got the top piece, the little inserts, and then the bottom piece. There's also a place to lay your stick in. Outside of that, you are also going to need a pan to put these into the refrigerator on. That way they sit nice and flat. And you will also need a pan for toasting up your shredded phyllo dough. So we're gonna go ahead and do that first. We'll go ahead and toast this up, and then we're gonna mix it with our pistachio paste. If you need your pistachio paste to be a lot thinner, you can also add some coconut oil to it. I would do the refined coconut oil just because it won't have that coconut flavor. There are lots of recipes out there as well. You can add sugar to this. You could add some tahini to it. I prefer to just go all natural with just straight up pistachios and no sugar. I feel like the chocolate's already sweet enough, so we're already gonna get that balance. All right, so we'll do our first step. So I've got a pan here, and I've got 3 tablespoons of butter. I'm not exactly sure how much I need for my molds, so I'm gonna make a decent amount up. So I'm gonna melt this butter down, and I can always add more if I feel like the shredded phyllo dough needs more, but basically we wanna get this nice and coated, and then we're gonna want this to get nice and golden brown so we can cook it up. So this has just been shredded and dried, so technically it's raw. it's not cooked all the way in terms of like getting nice and toasty. So it's not really something I would just recommend that you just eat right out of the bowl. Probably wouldn't taste very good either. But it is wheat, so there is some fiber. For those of you looking for the upside of chocolate bar that has fiber. And then of course we have our pistachio paste here, which also is a nut, and it has the skin on it because I like the toastiness that the skin provides, the roasted pistachio skin. So that's gonna give you a little bit of fiber too. So I'm just gonna let this melt down, and I will leave this on medium high. And then once I see it kind of start to bubble, then I'll go ahead and add in my shredded phyllo dough. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and add some of this in here. Get that all coated in the butter. And then like I said, if I need to add more, I will. I'm mainly looking to see how much this kind of shrinks down as well. I am gonna add some more butter here, another tablespoon. And I don't think that is uncommon to go up to like 6 tablespoons total. We're at 4 right now, but we're just gonna kind of see what happens here. I want this to get all coated. 2, 5, put things down a little bit more. Looks like it's shrinking down too much. Probably gonna be plenty for what I'm using it for today. I think this will probably fill up all the molds. What do you think, Nate? Nate's here helping today. Do you want to grab those molds so we can just kind of hold it up and see? Again, the main thing is we want to get this nice and coated. Yeah, so we're gonna use this mold here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put the other one in too. Put the rest of this in, I meant. Add a tiny bit more butter. So like I said, you'll probably go up to 6 tablespoons. Isn't gonna be uncommon. And that was roughly 2 cups. And you can see that the shredded phyllo is starting to get golden brown, which is nice. We obviously don't want to burn this either. So we'll just keep this moving. I may switch over to a different spatula because this one is a little bit narrow. Yeah, you can see it's really starting to toast up. Smells good. What do you think, Nate?
Smells delicious.
All right, I'm gonna flip this around just because it's a little bit hotter over on this side, so I'm gonna rotate a little bit. That's smelling nice and toasty. All right, it's a little bit messy. Okay, I think that is good. I've turned my burner off, nice and toasty. Okay, so I'm gonna let this cool just for a second, and I will grab my pistachio paste here and get a spoon, one more flip here. And then I'm just gonna take some of this pistachio paste. Take a little bit to begin with. I don't know how much I'm gonna need quite yet. And I will just mix it all around. One more. How we doing, Nate?
Very good.
Is that looking like it's getting mixed in?
Yeah, it smells good too.
Tiny bit more here. I feel like the heat helps incorporate it. All right, so that is looking pretty good. So now we're gonna go ahead and pause for a second and we will melt our chocolate. I've got my chocolate melted here. I do have a piping bag, and I'm gonna use the piping bag when it's time to cover the top of my chocolate bar. I've taken off, I'm using a 3-part mold here. I've taken off the top 2 layers, and the bottom of this is going to end up ultimately being the top. I have put this in a little baking dish just to make it easy to transport it to the refrigerator. And I'm just gonna take some of my chocolate here. Make sure it's all melted. And I'm using a non-tempering chocolate. This is by Ghirardelli, but you could also temper chocolate. And this is gonna give me a nice even coat of chocolate for my bar. And the nice thing about these particular molds, you can't see this on camera, but there is a water line, so to speak, that kind of tells you how far to fill the bottom of the mold with chocolate so that it will go up the sides. So I'm gonna tamp this down just to make sure it's nice and level before I stick these back on. So this is first piece, and then I'm going to pop this on, and then I will just push the chocolate up the sides, and then this is going to go right into the refrigerator and it will set up. And then once it's set up, then I'll go ahead and do my filling. All right, so into the fridge we go. Okay, so I've taken my mold out of the refrigerator. I've got my piping bag here and some melted chocolate. I'm gonna go ahead and just pour that in. The nice thing about using these disposable piping bags is that you can just pop the chocolate out once it has set up, whatever you don't use. Same with these little silicone cups. Very, very little waste. And then I'm just gonna take my piping bag here and I will fold the ends down and just tie this off with a little chip clip so nothing backs out. So my chocolate is ready to go. The other nice thing about these piping bags is that you can put them in the microwave for 15-second increments if your chocolate does start to harden. So that's ready to go. Bring my mold back over here and I will go ahead and pop off these little inserts. They're nice and flexible. Clean up my edges. And now I can go ahead and bring my filling over. I'll go ahead and put my filling in. And I did let this cool. And I'm just gonna come through, kind of flatten this down. Okay, take my piping bag off the tip. And then I will just come through and cover this in chocolate. Give that a good tap before I do the other side. You can see the little air bubbles are kind of popping up. This side, this all smoothed out. And just like the other one, I will give it some taps out of my way. Okay, into the refrigerator we go. Okay, our chocolate bars are out of the refrigerator. I put a piece of parchment paper down and now I'm going to flip these over and I'm just gonna give them a little nudge and there you have it. So then I'm just gonna come through and I'll just kind of clean up the edges from being in that mold. Looking good. Okay, so the final little thing that I'm gonna do is just to give this a little bit of glitz. I've got some edible diamond dust here and I'm just gonna give these some shimmer and sparkle. This is also going to kind of bring out some of those geometric patterns that are on top. So these are perfect for any time of the year. They also make great gifts for the holiday season. There you have it. Pick one of these up. You want to be careful, don't get your fingerprints all over it, but there you go. There's a nice, sparkly, delicious Dubai pistachio bar. All right, so we've got our Dubai bars already plated. So let's go ahead and break it open. Look at that. Yum. Delicious.